Okay, everyone. So, first, thanks for being here. You're in for a treat. I say that a lot. And then I always say, but this is really a treat. Okay, but this really is. I think they're all treats. This is part two of our four-part series called AI You Can Actually Use. And my guest is William Dickinson. He's a business I will. He's a business communications strategist, AI consultant, and marketing expert. He's got 27 years experience helping organizations large and small communicate more effectively, leverage new technology, and obviously artificial intelligence to enhance marketing efforts. So, Will and I came up with this idea of doing a four-part series to show four different use cases for using AI. So, we're going to have a talk, there'll be some demonstration, and then we're going to leave the last half hour from approximately 6 to 6:30 or later if you all want for live Q&A. Okay? So now you can ask a question in the chat, and I urge you to put your questions in the chat sooner rather than later so you don't forget it. And hopefully we'll get a chance to answer everyone's chat. And that way you can learn how to actually do something that you either want or need to do. So take advantage of this, people, because it's not every day that you get to hear an expert for free. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. This is a longer introduction than usual, but I want to give a kind of a context, a kind of an agenda, because Will and I have a habit of talking a lot, as if you couldn't already tell. Okay, so tonight we're going to start off by giving you an overview of the 5 foundational marketing prompts that cover essentially the core of the marketing life cycle. Okay, so we'll start with research, how to refine your market strategy, market positioning. Then we'll talk about strategy, content, competitive positioning, and then optimizing your conversion rates. We're going to spend a little extra time on content. So we're going to take a deeper dive into improving your messaging, creating stronger content faster, and building a more consistent brand voice. And if you missed all of that, you're going to get the recording. And anyway, you're going to hear it over the next hour. So that's a lot. So I'm going to jump right in. So, Will, let's start talking about the 5 foundational marketing prompts, starting with research and market positioning. Have at it.
Research and marketing positioning, those points are the results of what we're going to do. So where this needs to start is with the actual prompts themselves. The idea is to get a series of results out of AI, whatever you're doing. And prompting is the key way to get it out of every AI agent that's out there. For those of you that don't know, you might hear them call or might hear me mention the term LLM. That simply means large language model. It's Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all the ones that you think of. These are all large language models as a universal kind of term of what they actually are. I will be very specific in talking about ChatGPT today. I've created some examples that I'll show you of what ChatGPT will generate from each one of these, as well as I have a download that I'll put up in the chat here in a few minutes once we're done covering this, and I let Deb speak for a second. So to start this is knowing my customer. Now, here's your basic prompt that if you're going to push something forward is, how do I know my customer? Well, for those of you that are in business, knowing your customer is the absolute crucial priority that you should have anytime you're looking at marketing or where you're going to send your message. Who is the customer that's getting it? Despite what we all want to believe as business owners, your business and what you're selling, whether it be a product or a service, is not for everyone. We'd love to think that it's for everyone, but it's not. So what we got to do is focus in and figure out your personas. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Great.
So here is, everybody can see that?
I can.
Perfect. Okay. So basically I took that know your customer and put it in as a prompt. and just left it exactly like it is in this PDF that you'll be getting at the end of this for a takeaway. And
Oh,
basically,
great.
so because I've set up my chat GPT that it knows me. And so basically what it wants is it looks for information either that I'm talking about another business or I'm talking specifically about my business. It knows me. And so both from memory and from the settings that we went over last week, if anybody needs me to go over those settings, we can always have a meeting after this. And I always offer a 20-minute conversation for anybody that wants to after this whole bit goes down. So in this particular case, it said that based upon what I know about your business, I'll build this customer avatar for Cortex Marketing. That's my company. And your ideal customer avatar, sometimes they call it an ideal customer persona or ICP. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
ways that people will call it, but this is basically the structure that you start to look at who are the people that are going to really be benefiting and want to engage with you. So in this particular case, I don't know who Michael or Sarah is. AI created that. But the demographics, we start to look at demographics. And this is what AI has created. And this literally took 30 seconds to do. Um,
Just to reiterate,
yeah,
though, Will, you have these demographics because you already put them into your memory, your chat's memory, or something like that, correct?
not the demographics, just it knows my business, knows what we do, and knows how it is. I did not have to create the demographics. AI created these
Oh,
demographics based upon all the information that I've plugged in.
got it. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Go ahead.
Yeah. And like I said, if anybody wants to have this, I'll put up a little link that you guys can, schedule 20 minutes at no cost to you. We could sit down and I can show you some of this personally. And then we can go from there. Anyway, so the first thing that AI created for me, to be clear, was the demographics. So it's a 38 to 62, male or female, annual household income. I'm not exactly sure why ChatGPT believes that that is an optimum. I sell mostly business to business, is what my services do. There are a few people that like to create their own personal websites, but once again, it's them selling themselves as a business or a consultant or an advisor of some type. So I'm not quite sure where it's getting that annual household income, but sure, I think people that have $350,000 a year can come on by my office anytime. Uh, Business revenue, 500 to 15 million. I typically tend not to go below 200, 250,000 on working with clients in a like a retainer fashion. I do one-offs. I work with a lot of small businesses that don't do that kind of revenue. But if we're talking about doing serious advertising and stuff, you need to be pulling in probably 250 gross revenue for your business. Employees 3 to 75. Once again, businesses that are less than that, I do work with. And I work with a lot of people to help them stay away from having to create what is difficult. I mean, that's what I got into business for,
Mhm.
was to help business to create what they're doing. Whoever, being you, got into business because you have a service or a product or a widget of something that you're trying to sell. Well, you're good at that. Keep doing that. Hire out the person that's going to help you with your marketing. Um,
Actually, you
yeah.
could also just use AI, right? I mean, instead of
Well,
sorry for
here's
all
the
you marketers.
well, yeah. Shut up. So
Well,
so
hold on
it
one
it
second, though.
it
I don't
is
want to go
it,
through. I
it
don't want to go through all the demographics. I think it's
yeah,
important to
and I'm
note.
not going to go through them. I'm just let
Okay.
me speak to that point that you just made. Yes. Now, let me give you the scenario on that. If you have a plumbing problem at your house, sure, you can replace a washer. Sure, you can, like a washer and a faucet, maybe even not that. Sure, you can tighten up something or change, the insides of a toilet or something like that. But if you want something serious, you call a plumber, right? You don't sit there and try to do it
Right.
yourself. It's the same thing with
Okay.
marketing. Marketing
Good
on a
analogy.
low level, definitely you can do a lot of it yourself, and AI has really made that something that's easy to do. However, there's a lot to be said about experiential knowledge that you don't have as someone who's pushing your message forward. What about the calls to
Mm.
actions? What about the speaking to the content? What about the benefit driven stuff rather than its features? A lot of people, I notice so many posts of single entrepreneurs, and most of their posts are all feature, 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 feature. I do this, I
Yeah.
do that, I do. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, who cares? What's in it for me? That's what your
Well,
target
let's hold
audience, no
on,
matter
hold
what you,
off on that. Hold off on
yeah,
that because we're going to talk about that more in depth when we
we
get
will,
to
we will. But I
content.
wanted to make sure that point is made, that you were asking, well, you could do it yourself. Well, of course you could do it yourself. But what you're missing is you're missing years of the insight that it takes to be able to create prompts that are proper for AI to do it justice. That's all.
Fair, fair.
So
Okay.
within it, we have all kinds of things that this created quickly, what they believe. I know my business, I just don't know how to market. And I do a workshop, by the way. It's $150. And without pitching too deep into that, it basically goes in objection handling. What does a customer need to believe about what you're selling, about themselves, about you, about your product? And then, of course, the conditions of the way that you structure your conversation with customers, and how are you doing that? And the whole goal is to raise people from the point they contact you to the next point. Just let me go through this real quickly. Core values, personality, big pain points, emotional pain, goals. So you can see that AI really covers this pretty extensively. The next thing in our list here is create a marketing strategy. And this is creating, once again, for a specific prompt. That's the prompt. We go back into AI
Sorry,
and mark.
sorry,
Right,
Will, can you
go
go
ahead.
back and make that bigger? It's really small.
Which
And
one?
I'd like people to, the one you were
This one?
just on.
This one?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it's purposely small. It's only for my eyes. Nobody really
Oh,
needs to
okay.
know it. But
Okay.
thank you for letting me know. I can make it bigger, but this is the download PDF that everybody's getting at the end, so
Ah,
they'll be able to
okay.
read it, no problem. Um,
Great.
so within, is this one big enough for you?
Um, yeah, I just want people to be able to really see the prompt that is
Right.
associated with strategy and content and competitive
So there's the
positioning,
prompt right
etc.
there.
Okay, good.
And like I said, I can always make it bigger if you need me to. That's not a problem. Like it's at 125, there's 150. Does that help?
It helps me, but I might be a
Okay.
little older than most people watching.
Put your glasses on, ma'am. Um,
Don't have them.
anyway, so creating the marketing strategy, develop a comprehensive 12-month marketing strategy for businesses, include branding, positioning, SEO, social media, email, marketing, paid advertising, partnerships, public relations. So once again, kind of in a little bit of a tie-in of your question, that people can do this on their own. Would a standard business person that's not a marketer understand the prompt that needs to happen? And when getting this PDF, you'll now have that. You just have
Yeah.
ChatGPT know who you are, do the customizations that we talked about last week within the chat, and I can go over that again if need be. And that way, it focuses on what your business is, or you can even tell it
Right.
your business. If you have any kind of online presence, AI will go and can find your website and see what you say in your about section and your mission statement and all the other stuff, and put things together for you as well. But this
Wow.
particular
So
one, it knows all about me.
this is a really good example of how you responded with regard to you really do need some kind of expertise in
Hmm.
marketing to know the best way to prompt and for everybody's edification. That's why Will's here to sort of
Yeah.
help us all get better at prompting for different parts of the marketing funnel or
Yeah,
marketing.
and in full transparency, numbers are one of
Mhm.
my biggest things that well, it's not that I'm not good at numbers, I just don't like doing them. So I hire an accountant, I hired a bookkeeper, so
Right.
it's the same kind of concept across the board. If you're actually serious about doing business, don't try to do everything yourself. That's probably one of the best business pieces of advice that
Yes.
I got when I was much younger. Don't do everything yourself. Find people that are good
Okay.
at what they do and hire them accordingly. Anyway, this one was done for a company that I did stuff for called Aqua Pro Wash, and this is because we've done marketing strategies and plans with them. We're looking to do it along the I-5 corridor in Southwest Washington with a $25,000 annual marketing budget, which isn't very much, by the way. You should probably be
No.
putting in 25,000 is 10% of 250,000 gross business revenue. So if your business is doing $500,000, $500,000, you should be putting in about $50,000 a year to really see the needle move on a business that size.
Okay.
Uh, anyway, this created the 12-month marketing strategy, and I'll just slowly scroll here because it's long and detailed. But basically it
Well,
shows all the pillars, the key messages, the ideal target markets, residential homeowners. And this is Aqua Pro Wash. They do soft washing for roofs and power washing for driveways and sidewalks and sides of buildings and all that kind of stuff, which we get a
okay.
lot out here in the Pacific Northwest. Everything that you own in the Pacific Northwest eventually ends up growing kind of a green moss on it. It's not really disgusting. It's just kind of what it is. So, it goes for everything. This is very prominent business. There's high competition in this particular business themselves. Commercial stuff, services that they work on, basically high overview of the SEO strategy. And if anybody doesn't know, SEO is a multi-link. So it says Q1 here. So that would be a Q1, what we do with the SEO strategy, local SEO, content SEO. And if people don't know SEO, search engine optimization. And
Thank you.
a lot of people will say it's search engine SEO is dying. It's not dying. It just changed, especially over the past year. It's absolutely ginormously moving towards AEO, which is answer engine optimization. Stuff like ChatGPT, or people talking to their phone for Hey Siri, or people from their Alexa devices, Hey Alexa, and whatnot. So that is becoming huge. It's still only about 35% of the market, but 35% is a pretty huge chunk if you want to be seen online. Or, where do I get a landscaper near me? That kind of prompt is huge. Yeah, Dim.
I have a question. When you talk about the difference between SEO and AEO, right? Answer engine optimization, right? Are you using different? I understand what you're saying in terms of the difference. When you Google something, for example, all the AI things that show up on the top, right? That would be an example of AEO. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but are there any core differences in how you go about optimizing for SEO versus AEO?
Strategy wise, yes. Content wise, yes, but not as much. It doesn't hold as much weight. So, in a real high level answer to your question, AEO and SEO both are pulling from the same databases. Saying landscaping near me or something that of that effect, I need an accountant near me, or whatever your request is. Those are the phrases that the search engine, specifically Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, whatever your search engine is, those are pulling from that main phrase. Now, of course, ChatGPT, as an example, uses Yelp for pulling a lot of, like, which business is near me. Well, Yelp is the one they pull from. They don't pull from Google, which is an interesting move. And that just happened this year, I think in early July. And it was a big flip about the answers that they're giving, because they had found that Yelp gives a much better resource to local, while Google's great for global. Yelp is great for when you say find something near me, and it already has that part of its own internal search engine near Kelso, Washington, or whatever. Does that make sense?
So you're saying that it uses different sources.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I've heard that Reddit is actually a huge source for ChatGPT.
There's a lot of push on the Reddit advertising and things of that nature. I haven't done it myself, so I can't say much about it, other than there's a lot of chatter about it. Now, a lot of chatter doesn't mean it's better. I mean, there's always a new mousetrap being built, and especially in today's day and age, what's happening this week may not be happening next week, or may continue for another 6 weeks. It's really difficult to put some kind of measurement on that and how that actually works. Surely there's data about it, but I'm sure that's also industry specific too. Somebody searching for an accountant is very different than somebody searching for a landscaper.
Right.
One
Let's
would be
get
much
back
more of a
to the
business.
strategy.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the strategy.
So the strategy now, this is the marketing strategy. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of scroll through this. You can see this particular one, primary platforms, and it talks about your platforms, and it gives what you should do, how many times a week, behind the scenes, what do you do, what
Mm.
should you post about, and things of this nature. So if you went through this, and you can do this on your own, and because you'll get this PDF at the end, but you can see how deep and detailed this went in. There's quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter
Wow.
4, and it talks about all these things for your business. Go ahead, Dem.
No, I am always amazed at how
Oh,
one prompt. So
yeah,
here's the deal. One prompt plus some previous knowledge of you and your business gives you all of this.
correct.
That's amazing. Okay.
It is.
Um,
It is pretty phenomenal from my standpoint too. I mean, this is what saves me hours. It's not
yeah,
like I, I spend probably 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a half hour on a prompt, getting in all the details because I want all the details in that prompt that I'm going to need to
right.
know about your industry or your business.
Got it.
So it's
So
not
yeah,
like I
that's
just
an
go in and
important. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just say it's not like I just go into your business and know exactly what everybody's business does. I mean, I've worked with
Sure.
every business across the landscape of what business is, but that's what if you're ever hiring an advisor or a consultant, that's what they should be doing is their due diligence to go in and really research what your business is anyway. So
Know thy
anyway,
customer.
yeah, so it tells you basically here's your recommendation for budget allocation. I mean, it gets stupidly detailed. And I say it that way because it makes me laugh. I can't tell you how many years I did this without having an AI to help me create it. And
Right.
now,
How do you
because
know
I
it's
know,
accurate? I'm
well,
sorry. How
that's
do
the
you know
thing
it's
you,
accurate?
yeah, that's the thing you always got to look for. You as a, and I'm just using you as an example, but you as a layman person wouldn't
Mm,
necessarily know how accurate it is. Like I
okay.
said, we got a $25,000 budget for a $250,000 business. That's
Mm,
10%. So this is just how it's breaking it down. It's saying Google advertisement, but that Google advertisements could simply be the word advertising. It doesn't have
mm-hmm.
to be on Google. It can be, I mean, Google is it's still the market shareholder. I think they're about
Right.
65% of what the market is. And there's a whole bunch of factors that are kind of down the line on that. Is your website behind a secure socket layer? Does it have all the
Ah,
benefit driven stuff? Does the words that people are actually searching for match the content that you have in your website? I mean, all the codes in the background, are they all meeting? So there's so many factors when it comes to marketing that we don't have enough time in 5 sessions to cover all the stuff. So
right. Okay.
let me just move on and say I agree. This is totally amazing. So,
And it's amazing.
um, key performance indicators, KPIs as they call them. Um, so the next one on this list was build a content calendar. So that content calendar is the next one that I prompted in here. So here's a content calendar. So this one will blow your mind. Build a content calendar, create a 90-day content calendar that educates, entertains, and converts my ideal customer, because it already knows what my ideal customer is. It's
Right.
talking about Cortex marketing in here. Include blog posts, social media posts, email, newsletters, videos, calls to action, hashtags, and repurposing of ideas. So this particular
Wow.
prompt, basically, and I'll just slow down. Here's our content pillars. And if anybody doesn't know the 80-15-5 rule, we'll go over that at another time, or you can give me a call and we can talk about that. But essentially, 40% educational, 25% authority, 20% engagement, and 15% conversion is what the strategy is about doing this.
Mm,
On a posting schedule, if you're just throwing darts at the wall or shooting fish in a barrel, as I like to call it, you're going to have
mm,
much less success with your marketing than if you actually plan and strategize it out. Here's a perfect example. In this posting schedule right here, it talks about Monday's a marketing tip day, Tuesday's a video reel day, Wednesday's a blog plus LinkedIn day, Thursday is a client story day, case study day.
Wow.
Friday's a business growth today, and so on. So you can see that it's being very organized because that's how we get results. I mean, and right there, there's another lean in, lead in to why it's so important to work with a marketing professional. These are the people that are going to be able to pull stuff out when you're looking at a consultant in your business. I can't tell you, marketing it's an investment. It's not like you're just spending
For
money and it's a
sure.
cost. It's an investment. And on any investment, you want to do your due diligence and have somebody on your team that's going to make sure you're doing this and not having to spend the money twice.
Yeah.
Although
I have a
marketing is kind
question.
of an ongoing. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, scroll back up. Yeah, right there, posting schedule. How much of how would AI help you actually create? Now, I don't want to go into again, not too much detail because we still have a lot to cover. But how much can you rely on AI to actually create your marketing tips, your videos and reels, etc.?
More than what would make content creators comfortable in saying. It's
What do you mean?
absolutely amazing. So let me scroll down here and you'll see as
Okay.
it starts giving me notes. So here was month one, and it starts talking about writing a blog, and AI will do all of this for you. So in
Well,
other words,
actually write the blog.
well, yeah, see how I've why great businesses still struggle to grow? Start writing. Bam. You
Oh
can
my
then
golly.
you can just tell them I want it to be at least a 500 word thing. I want the keyword structure to be based around this particular keyword because you've gone into Google or you've gone into Bing or any of the search engines and you see that they have shown us what is the number one key phrases that people are asking for. All this data is tracked, all of it. You go in and ask
Wow.
something of Google, it's put into a database somewhere. And not to make people paranoid, but that's just it's what it is. It's data. This data is huge. This is why when you go around and you've talked about, and this is the freaky one a little bit. You're talking about something with your wife, like you need to get hedge trimmers, and all of a sudden you start seeing all these advertisements for hedge trimmers popping up on your phone and
Yeah.
on
What's
on your
up with
social
that?
media. Well, there's a certain strategy that's within that and a certain way that people do that. And it's way too much to even just kind of surface talk about. But basically,
Okay.
anything, the only way to prevent that is to not carry your phone around. Now, I have a phone and I have an iWatch and you know, anybody that thinks they're not being tracked and they have a telephone, don't carry your
Oh,
phone with you if you don't want to be tracked.
oh
People
wow.
know exactly where you are, no matter where you are in the world. It's not like just a little bit. If I go over to Europe, and I have a cell phone that I can have several SIM cards in, and I buy a SIM card for operating in Europe. Everywhere I am, they know where I'm at, right?
Wow. Wait, can
Yeah,
I just say something?
yeah,
I just want to comment. Nisa made a comment in the chat, which is hilarious, I think.
yeah.
Now we're all going to get ads for hedge trimmers.
Maybe so, maybe so. Um,
Sorry.
yeah,
Sorry,
you make a
everyone.
very valid point. And you're
Especially
like,
for those people in Brooklyn, New York, New Jersey. Well, maybe New Jersey, but sorry. Okay, go on.
no hedges there. Anyway, my point is that this is talking about month one here, and then it goes into basic hashtags that you should have with all your stuff. These are relevant hashtags, and everybody knows what a hashtag is. Um,
And if you
mm,
don't, say so in the chat. And by the way,
if you
don't
don't say
forget,
so in
put
the
your
chat,
questions.
yeah,
Put your questions
I
in the
can go
chat.
over that. Um, Now repurpose. So funny that you mentioned what it does. Repurposing. So how do I write a blog? It can also be repurposed as a LinkedIn article,
Right.
right? So why are you writing it twice? Now, I use a system called Content 360 for posting my stuff. Gosh, Deb, I don't even know if you and I are connected on LinkedIn, but within that,
Yeah.
and as I have that pulled up as an example, within that, you can see here I posted to today's event to all three of my Google business profiles, and I posted today's event to my LinkedIn, and there's another one that's in there that's my personal LinkedIn, my business LinkedIn, my Facebook, and my Instagram all at one time.
Wow.
And it basically, you attach an image to it. You can attach multiple images to it. You can copy it. I love this Content 360. They were running a special for a long time, and it's probably still going for $67 that you can get this for a lifetime membership. And then it's a
Oh,
matter of learning
really?
how to do it. Yeah. So I'll look that up and put that prompt, put that link in the chat as well.
Oh,
And
that'd
I
be great.
believe
Okay.
everybody gets the chat. When you get this meeting back, you also get all the stuff that was listed in the chat and everything. But be sure to download it quickly if that's something that's super important to you. As soon
Yeah.
as the chat is closed, you're not going to get this until Dub sends out the recording. Anyway,
And just
yeah,
make sure you open it up in a new tab so you don't miss what he's saying now.
potentially
Are we
true.
going to talk
Yes.
about competitive positioning next?
Yes, we have competitor analysis. And so that one is anybody that does business. Once again, if you're doing business and marketing and you don't have a strategy and you're just throwing darts at the wall, finding out who your competitors are and what they're doing and how they're doing it and what they look like and how they're showing up online are all important pieces of this puzzle. So the
Mm,
head aspect of it is analyze my top 5 competitors, identify their strengths, weaknesses, messaging offers, pricing, SEO strategies, and all that stuff. AI can figure this out for you. Here's the
that's the
example.
prompt. Wait, that's the prompt that you use?
I'll get back to it, Deb.
Okay.
So this is analyzing my competitors. This is the prompt that was used.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So it started asking me questions. Please answer one question to get started. I said, it asked me, which business should I analyze? I said, Legacy Landscaping. It's another landscaping company, speaking of hedge trimmers, that I work with. What competitors should I analyze? And then identify them for me. And then what location, this was my answer to ChatGPT's question, right?
Okay.
And then I said, identify
I
them for me, or I can enter them
sorry.
into there. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. um, I've always been told that you need to tell chat in the area of memory or instructions. I think Claude uses the word instructions. That you actually need it to tell you to, I'm sorry, you need to tell it to always ask you questions for clarification. Do you find that to be the case? And had you already done that?
I don't, well,
Or does it
it's a,
automatically ask you questions?
yeah, it's getting to the point now to where you don't have to do this. You got to remember that a lot of the information that people are pitching and advising about now, I'm daily figuring out new things that have changed. There was a
Wow.
huge Chat GPT update in early July 9th,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. And so that changed the landscape of a lot of stuff. Google changed in early July because Google is now
Right.
focusing on different keyword structures and what people are asking for. Because I would say a predominant amount of people in the way that they're searching has changed, and so they're trying to move with the landscape. But it's like trying to drive a road at night without lights, and you're using the moonlight. It's curvy, and hopefully you don't run off the road because there's so much information. Like I said, AI itself changes about once every 6 days, because not
Six
only
days.
are 6 days, so not only are people changing in the way that they're doing, but AI is growing. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
AI models that have the ability, and they're not telling you all of this information, but they have the ability to um, extrapolate varying aspects and to create new pathways. Is probably the best way to relate it to the human body. When we learn something new, we're creating new neural pathways in our brain. And
Right.
the AI is very much the same way. Not that it's autonomous or sentient,
Okay.
but it's definitely, it's scary how fast it's moving. And
Wow. Yeah.
sooner or later, it's going to get to the point, and this is why people are acting in some circles very concerned about the speed that
Mm-hmm.
AI is coming in. It's taken over so many. I mean, as a marketer, it's done numbers on the marketing industry itself. I can't tell you how
For
many
sure.
times you go to Facebook and you now see these fantastic posters that are created for somebody's event. Well, they're just a babysitter. Where are they getting the skills to do this? AI. Now, I'm not saying that
Wow.
it's
Okay.
100% always true, and I think a lot of them are kind of garbage-ish because they really don't talk to the benefits. They talk mostly to the features, as I said before. But there are a lot
Right.
of pieces of this puzzle that you can't keep up. It's moving too
Yeah.
damn fast. So while I agree that there are people that say that, advice is kind of, what's happening this week is really what it comes down
Wow.
to. Yeah. And so
So I
it's really
guess
hard.
I guess
Yeah.
it
Go
would
ahead.
be a really good secret for us to know how you are keeping up. But you don't have to let
Sure.
go of your trade secrets if you don't want to.
Well, it's
you
much less a trade secret and much more of I, I'm just obsessed with understanding things. I got a curious nature by heart. And so
okay.
I'm curious about why people do what they do. And so I'm daily diving, excuse me, into a variety of components that end up being part of the AI landscape. And I say it that way
Got
because
it.
AI, it touches every little bit of your life. It's been touching graphic designers for 10 years now. And it's just now starting to become to where every consumer can access AI through the LLMs. That's
Hmm.
just kind of how it is. So anyway, let me get back to this so I can move through it and not keep us caught up here, keep us on time.
Yeah, we're
Um,
getting close to wanting to, do Q&A,
yeah,
but I do want you to finish talking about the
yeah.
positioning and also optimizing conversion.
Yeah. So what location does it serve? It asked me, and I said a specific city location. It knows that this is Clark and Lewis counties, and Cowlitz, Clark, and Lewis counties here in Washington State. They do both commercial maintenance and blah, blah, blah. So it understands this because I've already worked with this company, Legacy Landscaping. So it's pulling from its memory on that. It
Mm,
talks about there's the top competitors. It talks about the threat level. Well, Longview Landscaping, interestingly enough, is the same company as Legacy Landscaping, is just another division of it. And so, they are their highest competitors. And a lot of the reasons is because it was what
mm,
it says here. It talks about its strengths. It's established 20 plus years. Well, Legacy Landscaping has been established for 20 plus years. So anyway, as we go down this, you can see it starts getting detailed. There's a strategy for SEO, social media, opportunity for legacy, positioning yourself to be more responsive, more relationship focused. This is what you do to beat out the competition. Better customer service. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but customer service has kind of gone in the toilet over the past 10, 15 years. And so
yeah.
how do we beat our competition? I'm now a
So
multi. Sorry, go ahead, Deb.
I'm sorry. Um, so basically, what you're saying is that prompt, which was what, just a few sentences,
Mm-hmm.
is going to give marketers or anyone else who cares about what's happening in the competitive landscape a full SWOT analysis: strengths,
Yes.
weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Yeah.
Um, that's also amazing because it certainly means that we don't have to spend all the time researching because
Mm-hmm.
basically the AI is doing the research for you. And a lot, as you mentioned, or I mentioned in the introduction, doing it faster.
Well, and that's where businesses are saving money, even though they're hiring somebody like me. What used to take me 4 to 8 hours to do now takes
Hmm.
me an hour to 3 hours to do.
Wow.
So
Okay. That's
time is
good.
money
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? So
Yep.
anyway, yeah, so you can see this, you can see there's all the competitors that put it up there, the weaknesses, it talks about who they are, what they do, customer review trends across the industry, big opportunities for legacy. It talks about your opportunities. There's the part of that SWOT analysis. So this is, and then at the end, it gives us a strategic recommendation. Now, you asked how I might use this earlier on the last one. And just as a very quick example of this, I could take this information and easily return it back to the owner with me looking at it and going, does this sound human? Now, I sent you
Mm.
last week, after our conversations, I sent you prompts to ChatGPT. And within those top prompts is how do you make AI sound more human? So I believe
Okay.
that you were going to send those out to everybody once the whole series is done or something of that effect. I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
that part of the conversation. But anyway, everybody will get that as a walk away.
Great.
So anyway, our last one is um, improving your conversion rate. So how many times have you like, God, my ad just doesn't do it? What can I do to improve it?
Mm.
And of course, that's this right here. Review my website, landing page, or marketing copy as a conversion optimization expert. Identify every point of friction, explain why visitors may not convert, and recommend improvements. So, talking about pulling the curtain back
Wow.
on Oz right now, I'm going to show you what Chat told me about this. And basically, it asked me again, what should I review? And I said, a landing page. I thought it was going to prompt me for um, um, my wife is an author of children's books, pirate books. And so we have a landing page for that. And that's what I was going to have it do, but it ended up doing it for me. So a landing page, sell a product,
Wow.
and what product is sold. I'm saying a physical product. All these were answering thinking that it was for my wife's book. And then I
I
found out
see.
that I think that it's doing it for, it might be doing it for Cartex marketing again. I have
Okay.
enough context about the objectives selling the physical product, but I still need actual landing page information. Please either paste the URL, and I didn't paste the URL just as an example here. We could do just about anything. We can take any of this, and I can show you how fast this works. So when it says paste the URL, I'm going to tell it,
Go ahead and
you
use your. I was going to go ahead. So you're using your wife's children's
that's what
books.
I'm doing here. It says use
Yeah.
captainscallywag.com as the URL. Couldn't retrieve the
Ah.
site. Well, that's embarrassing. Did I spell it wrong? Captain, the search results suggest it may not be live. Oh, I know it's live. Hold on here. Holy, holy moly. Yeah, see, it's live.
There you
Okay.
go.
So let me go back up here and you can go back into your chats and you can always edit your chats. And this is a good example. Roll over your chat and click on the little pencil and you can edit your chat. So I'm just going to take that, repost that in here. Whoops, there we go. Click send.
So you think it's important to use the HTTPS?
It doesn't
Because that's,
necessarily need that. That's just what it pulls it when you copy a URL. I
oh,
could have
got
just
it.
put
Okay.
www or not even www. And without going into a lengthy description of what those mean, it basically
Doesn't
means all
matter.
that search engines really look at or all that browsers really look at is what's called the second domain level. You know,
Right.
first domain level is .com, second domain level is the name, and third degree level is the www. It's all www at this point. So
Okay.
anyway, I can absolutely do a professional CRO audit, which is what it's calling it now. But I want to be transparent about one limitation. Um, will not be able to retrieve the actual contents of Captain Scallywag. Instead, I found references
Huh.
to the book on other websites, such as Copeland Publishing, which is one of my companies that publishes my wife's books. So
So hold on. What is a CRO? Go back to that for a second. A CRO audit.
a CRO audit. Let's see if ask ChatGPT. See how I did that? So it's
That's pretty
asking,
cool. That's a good tip.
yep. So it's asking it now. It says, I tried, what is a CRO?
Conversion
Conversion
rate
rate
optimization,
optimization. It's a
which is what we're
systematic
talking about.
progress, which is all that we're talking about here. Yeah. So let me
Okay.
scroll back up towards the top. So to the CRA, similar to what a senior conversion optimization consultant would deliver. I guess I could have just kept reading on in the sentence. The first impression, 5 to 2 test, what visitors understand immediately, and so on and so on. It gives you all these pieces of this. And remember, this
Wow.
is to improve your conversion rate. So if you have a landing page that is not converting well, Um, Generally, it used to be, and I'm going to sidestep here just for a second. People used to think that a landing page was just a page that you land on a website. That's not a landing page. That's a page on a website. It still has
Mm.
all of the navigation and everything intact. A landing page is a page that has one focus, and that's to drive you a direction, typically either contact or to send you to where, in this particular case, it sends you to where a book is. You can see that at the top of the page, there's no navigation. It's
Ah,
focused.
got it.
So that's a landing page. It's designed to have the ability to do two um, to an A/B test. And once again, real high level A/B testing is you set up a page that is A, and then you set up a page that's B, and you look at the conversion rate. You change one major thing. Let's just say this is A, and then in B, you have the title written, and then right next to it, it has the image of the book rather than down below it.
Okay.
So there's the change. What is causing people to move the needle? That's the whole point of a landing page. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Any questions that we had? Because we're kind of at the end of talking about all this, and we're definitely at the
Yeah.
mark that's way over. So
Well, let me just point out what Cecilia said in case
sure.
people can't read it. She's using regularly Gemini Chat and Claude as an
Mm-hmm.
experiment. I included in my overall guidance for Gemini to ask me clarifying questions and to provide a more effective, optimized version of my prompt before it generates the
Oh,
rest of the
nice move. Yeah.
response.
Nice.
Yeah, really clever. I'm using all three for the more important situations and using them as a sort of board of advisors. I've heard of a board of advisors that using these LLMs as a board of advisors. That
Yeah.
sounds like a
Yeah.
great idea. How do you set that up? Do you know?
Well, there's AI is kind of universal in the way that you're setting things up. One is Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity. They all have the ability to set settings where you can enter your information about what it
Mm,
is. I think the best one in the market for doing Gemini is awesome for doing that. ChatGPT is awesome for doing that. Claude is probably in second place. Um, Perplexity is probably in third place.
okay.
Claude is in first place for doing things like if you're writing code or you're doing things
Mm,
that are much more business oriented. In other words, you need to create a document that does that. It'll come and get you out. It's amazing. But I have a whole
yeah.
list of ones that I can also share that aren't that separate out all of these. I just don't have that pulled up right today, but I
Right.
can
In
send it to
terms, so
you
when
and we
you,
can always send it to everybody.
yeah, you mean basically talking about what the different AI models are best at?
Correct.
That's what you mean? Okay. But the thing
Yeah.
is that does, as you said before, if everything's changing every 6 days, I mean, I'm not taking you literally on that, but if everything's changing that fast, I would assume it's one or the other, is best at this, and then the other one creates an enhancement to their model. So, it becomes kind of a laddering effect, no?
Well, yeah. So it somewhat anecdotal about how it changes. I mean, the stuff that's changing in AI, they do major updates probably once every 6 weeks to 6 months.
Okay.
And I
Oh,
say
okay.
every 6 days, something new is coming out because there's every 6 months, there's 10 more LLMs that have been created. And they all
Right.
do something special and they all have their claim to fame. How do you discover that? Well,
Yeah.
if you're not looking at stuff every 6 days and you're trying to cram it all into one, nugget that you're going to absorb, you'll never get it done. I watch these videos all the time. I get stuff from both YouTube, Facebook, um, some other experts that I hang around with or pal around with or have some kind of conversation. So we all talk about this.
Hmm.
I'm part of a group that it could be um, um, we meet usually or try to meet once a month up in Vancouver,
Mm,
BC, and we're actually meeting physically, and we did that purposely because all of us are online all the time. And so it's kind of going
Right.
back old school a little bit. And we go and we have breakfast, or we meet at a coffee house, or whatever. And we just have conversations about AI
That's
and where
cool.
it's at and what it's doing. Some of these guys are actually AI programmers that are meeting in this
Hmm.
group. So I can ask them questions and, satisfy my own
Okay.
curiosity. My son's a programmer, I live it.
He must know something.
Yeah, he might know something. Yeah.
I want to look at Cecilia's comment. For my B of A. For my B of A, Cecilia, what do you mean by B of A? I think that might be a typo. I use the same prompt for each tool and send the responses. Oh, okay. Oh, Board of Advisors. Sorry. Thank you. Um, I use the same prompt for each tool and send the responses of each to the other. And she has found that Gemini
Nice.
tends to get a bit aggressive. Yeah, that's a really good idea, too. Examples include reviewing and negotiating my last apartment lease. Wow. Advocating for my father at the nursing home that you just pulled him out of. I hope for a good reason. Claude used to be best at writing and strategy, but now I have to be on my toes to keep up, as we all do. Hence, my attending these webinars to hear about what I can check out further and sometimes share helpful tips. Hey, you know what? I would bet somebody on this in this audience could probably teach me many things, and maybe will one or two things.
Always.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Although some advise us to prompt each tool differently, not a good reason. What do you have to say about that?
I agree. Well, I'm kind of going to step backwards for a second. If you're setting up your LLMs with personal data, in other words, it knows your business, and you use it all the time, it will pull from memory in some cases. Sometimes it will you'll be able to, and I'll just use ChatGPT as an example. When you fill out all this information, you tell it about yourself, you tell it about your
Right.
business, you tell it about what's
Yeah.
going on, and it pulls all this information, and it's specifically designed to do it that way. AI also has a tendency to praise you. So one of the things that you can
Yes.
do to prompt is you can tell it, "Be my best critic," or whatever, and tell me not what I want to hear, but what I should be hearing if I'm doing X, whatever that is.
Right. Got it. Yeah. It is known to say how great we are.
Yeah, yeah, it's your new best friend.
um, can you talk briefly? We don't have a whole lot of time, but can you talk briefly? And again, if you have any questions at this point, put them in the chat. Can you talk briefly about building a more consistent brand voice? Oh,
Well, yeah.
thanks for
So
posting that.
yeah. So once again, building a consistent brand voice. This is kind of a multi-layered topic. Um,
Excuse me, James. Hi,
yes.
James. Can you do me a favor and take off your video? Thanks. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, that's okay. So, um, a consistent brand voice means that in the case of AI, is that as you correct it, because if you write an AI post, you can always go back and say it, no, remove all M dashes, or
Right.
do it certain ways. And it was the AI thought it was the bee's knees to put M dashes in every place that a comma went. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And so I specifically told my ChatGPT in the background, you don't have to use M dashes all the time. You can use commas, or I prefer commas. I can't remember exactly what my prompt is for that, but
Right.
there are things that you can do to help. And so that's helping building your brand voice. Some people in business, and that's one of the ways that you can tell whether someone has just used ChatGPT or any other LLM for creating marketing posts for their business,
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of times it'll use not only the M dashes, but it will also use emojis or icons for bullet lists.
Yes.
Instead of just a bullet, it will
Mm-hmm.
do a check mark or whatever else.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent you one earlier that I did, and
Yep.
that was my for today's meeting and post.
Right.
Um, and it to me, it's really obvious.
Uh-huh.
My youngest son, who's the programmer, he and I get into debates all the time about what people will ignore and what they won't. And of course, because we're
Mm.
40 years apart, there's a very distinct difference in our views about what is going to cause something to happen. In West Vancouver, BC, this morning, there was a big debate about this art festival that goes on and how people aren't looking at or the younger people are like not even moving the needle on anything, according to a survey that was done. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's, they, of course, they all started complaining about all the old codgers that are running the festival and nobody wants to change and all the stuff that you normally hear in communities. And while that's probably true, I think there's a lot of good points made to that, but there's also a good amount of people who makes the money. If you're selling, like we sell our book, but we're not selling to
Mm.
the 8 to 10 year olds or 8 to 12 year olds that the book's written for. We're selling to their
Right.
parents
Of
or the
course.
grandparents. Our primary audience are grandparents. That's who wants to buy books for their kids
For
six
kids,
to
yeah.
12 years old.
Well, that's another example of know thy customer and figuring out your market
100%.
positioning. Cecilia wrote something else here. Oh, I think this is part of her prompt. Tear apart the responses from these other two and give me a better response than theirs. Okay.
Yeah.
And she
So
had
better.
submits
Let me
that.
just come. Deb, let me just
Okay,
comment
go
on
ahead.
that. You
Hmm.
might, Cecilia, you may try, instead of using the word better, you may be more specific about what you mean by better. Better is
Good
subjective.
point.
So if you put out some points that are when you mean better, and
Mm,
give me a response that speaks more to, and be specific about what you're talking about, lead generation, or speaks more to um, touching people on a wider base than the audience I already have, or whatever that is, that's going to give you a much better result. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, that's good. That's really good. Submit that concept more or less in different words each time I ask them to assess each other. Sometimes I ask the one I have inevitably spent more time in the chat about a specific situation to create a new prompt to get a better answer from the other two, since they now have more context. Yep,
Yes, and
that makes
I'm glad you brought that up, Cecilia. Context is king. What if the
mm,
more context and exacting details that you can give any LLM, the better. Because we have to remember, while it's doing all these amazing things, it's just a machine.
mm. And a database basically of information.
Well, yeah, it's just a giant database for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. If no one has any more questions, then Will, I'm going to ask you to sort of sum up kind of what you think are the most important aspects of what we spoke about today.
Well, and that could be a pretty easy thing, as like I talked about, those 5 prompts that we talked about, they really are referring to the research that you need to do, the strategy, the content, the competitive positioning, the conversion optimization. All these are key points within the results that you're wanting to get out of it. And so that's why when we started today and you mentioned those are really important, 100%, because those are the result goals. And so with ChatGPT, or which happens to be my personal favorite for dealing with a lot of this. One, it's most familiar with me,
Mm,
and two, I think, like Cecilia mentioned, that they're all changing, and it's hard. Some people are going to tell you, oh, they're going to tell you different stuff. Well, that may be true, but they might also be pulling not necessarily from different databases, but they're pulling from different ways that the programming is written. So you may like
mm,
Gemini better than ChatGPT. Gemini is great for creating stuff, but it's not great for like creating documents. Not as good as Claude is, as an example. So
got it.
there needs to be a much bigger window of understanding for the average consumer to really take advantage on their business owners. um, if you're going to meet with a marketing person or a strategist such as myself, I would take some of these prompt ideas and put them in there so you don't come to the table knowing nothing. That's really
Mm,
important. I think it's a business owner that doesn't do their own due diligence and just relies on everybody is not going to do as well as a business owner that knows just enough to be dangerous, knows the
yeah.
basic points of what they're looking for. if I'm asking you a question, you got to be able to give me an answer. What are you looking to do? Are you looking for lead generation? Are
Right.
you looking to set your company up because you're hoping that somebody's going to merge or acquisition you, in some kind of
Yeah.
way? What are you actually looking for the goal to be? And so that's when we start talking about whether these on your core marketing lifestyle, the research strategy, content, competitive positioning, and conversion optimization are definitely the core results that most businesses are looking for. It is by no means the only thing that the businesses are looking for.
For sure. Okay. Well, with that, looks like some people have had to drop. So I will remind everybody that you will get a recording of all of this, and that next Tuesday night, same time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to talk with Will again about operations. So whether you own a business or whether you're just part of some company, clearly you have to have a way of operating your workflow. And we're going to talk very specifically about some good AI tools and ways to optimize that.
And
So
so
with that,
everybody,
thank you.
before everybody leaves, here is where you can schedule time with me. There are a couple on there there's an evening time and a daytime discovery meeting. Those discovery meetings don't cost you a dime. There's also ways that you can book a half hour or an hour with me, which also isn't expensive, but those are not free.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. You're the expert. People have to pay for your time, except tonight. Anyway,
Yes.
Will, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I look forward to next week. Maybe I can optimize some of my workflows. And for everyone, you will get a recording. And please sign up for next week if you haven't already done so. And with that, I will conclude this. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.